So now your gun is nice and textured, and we are ready to start looking at some animation. First of all, this little tutorial is going to just have a little bit of a look at some of the controllers and constraints that are used in animation, because I don't think many people around here have done too much animation. Um, so what I'm first going to do is just talk about this little timeline we've got along here, which is our where we produce all the animation. And this is basically a timeline. Um, I normally just leave it on the default settings. So we're doing 30 frames a second. So there's 2 seconds of animation along here, 60 frames. And basically, animation works through keyframes. And keyframes are little markers that basically say this at this period of time, this is where this object is in the 3D space. So I'll just show you what I mean. So we put an auto key, and so basically at key 0 we are at this position. At key 30 I just drag our object up. You notice that we've got this nice big red border that lets us know that we're in auto key. So okay, frame 30 we're in this position. So as I drag it between these 2 positions, we see our object move. Bam, bam, bam. And what we can also do with this is we can copy our keyframes. So I'm going to just click on this little guy, it comes up white. I can hold down shift and drag him along to 60, which will then mean he'll move back down, like so. There's another way of copying, where we put our slider where we want the keyframe to be copied to, right click, and we'll come up with this small dialog. Source time is the frame that you're copying, and destination is where it's going to. You can also, basically animation uses the 3 transform types, which is position, rotation, and we can also use scale, but you don't really want to be using scale. I'll warn you now. So there we go, and we can right click here. So we can tick what type of transform we want to copy. So if I only copy the position, oh, source frame 0, there you go. You can see it doesn't copy the animation, it will go up and down, like so. Have to just create our friend the teapot. So, create a box. Right, what we're going to talk about is this up here, which is select and link. And what this does is creates links between objects and dummies and things, which tells the computer which is the parent and which is the child. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here to here. You click from parent to child, click and drag, and what that allows us to do is basically links the objects together, so it kind of, I guess it treats them as one object. So I can basically select this one pink, in fact, sorry, it goes from child to parent. So this purple pinky box here is the parent of this box. So as we move it, you can see it drags this one with it, like so. You can also rotate it, and it will stay in the exact same position in accordance to where it was at the start. That's the sort of first type of controller. Oh, didn't want to do that. This second little controller I'm going to show you is going to help with the reload animations. What you'll find is with a reload animation, you basically want at the start of the animation the clip to be the child of the gun, and then halfway through you want the hand to take hold of the clip and the hand to be the parent, so that the clip is following the hand out of the gun and then back in and going back to its default position with it, the gun being the parent. So if you imagine that this was the clip, basically as the gun moves, the clip will be inside the gun, perfect position, and then this is the hand. What we really want is the hand to come over, for this object to become the parent, and then for us to move this object here and the clip to follow it. So what we have to do is we add what is called a link constraint. What we do is we'll go under our motion panel, just click on transform here, and on this little question mark mofo, click on M, and it'll give you a few options. We just want link constraint. What this does is allows us to choose who is the parent and at what time frame. So what we do is we move the slider over to frame 1, hit add link, and click box here. We'll then move the time frame over to 30, add link again, and click this box here. Now that should be us sorted. So we say the gun, auto key, move over to here, frame 30, over to here to the hand, and from frame 30, frame 31 to a keyframe, and now I can move that over here. Like so, it'll become a bit clearer once we actually start animating the gun a bit better, probably. What else are we going to use? We're also going to use a... no, I don't think we are going to look at anything else, but I will still show you a look at constraint, and I will also show you the orientation constraint. Okay, so we just want to go animation constraints, orientation constraint, and we get a little marching ante type thing. I'm just going to click on the box here. And basically, this teapot is now the orientation of this teapot, so the rotation is controlled by this box, and it will, as I rotate this box, it will rotate the teapot. This can come in handy when, so you say you twist a controller on the wrist, for example, and the hand will move. It's not that handy. It'll also, you'll notice that the animation works through the pivot points. So move the pivot up here. So that teapot is not going to do what I want it to do. Does suck. Okay. Oh, you'll see a bit later. Let me effect pivot only. It's been a bit of a crybaby. What have we got? Link parameters. Just going to delete this object. I've been twatting about with it loads. Right, let's get another teapot. Have another go with this. Effect pivot only. There we go, that's better. Woo! Right, so the next thing we're going to look at, I'm just going to put that pivot back, is a look at constraint. And a look at constraint is handy for things like eyes, heads, and what it does is will force this object to constantly look at this, which basically adds rotation as well, but it is slightly different, because rather than having to rotate this object, you move it position wise. I'm just going to constraint, look at constraint, oh sorry, wrong object, click here, and we get this blue line which indicates that it's looking at our box. As we move our box, it rotates. There's a few options that you need to be quite wary of. See, that isn't doing too much there. What we want to do is we want to keep initial offset, which I generally like to click, you also want to select up node. The up node, I guess, is telling our object here which way is up. And what it can cause if it's on the world is something called gimbal lock, where basically, I don't know where it's going to do it. As you rise up over it, it spins round, or sometimes it'll basically just sort of flick, which mine isn't doing now, but if you fiddle about, you'll probably see it, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. So to basically reduce that, we basically tell the object to use what it's looking at as the upload, so box 1. What this can also do is help rotation this way, because it basically stays in line with this, because it knows which way is up. It thinks that the z-axis on here is up, and so we'll rotate with the z-axis like so. I don't think I'm explaining that very well, but it will do. There's also other things in here in the look at constraint. To get back at these constraints, something that always annoyed me is you want to go under the rotation panel up the top here, and then the look at constraint you'll find under rotation, just here. You've got all your controls. So the source axis, you can change all of these. Sometimes you do need to have a bit of a fiddle to get it just right. Well, see, he doesn't like that very much. Alright. I guess... I think that's about it for now, really. I just wanted to go over the few constraints there. We won't be using them all, but I think we'll be using a couple on the arm rigs. Oh, actually, one thing that I was going to show was some bones. If I can find them. Bones aren't anything particularly special. What they are is just normal geometry in this kind of shape, but they automatically have the pivot point in the correct position, sort of up the top here, and they are also connected in a hierarchy. So as you can see, as I rotate this one at the top, all the others rotate. As I rotate this one, everyone below it rotates, and so on. But other than that, they're just normal geometry. What I am going to also show you is IK solvers. So I'm just going to select this top bone here, animation, IK solvers, limb solver. And I'm going to miss out this joint here, and I'm just going to click on this bone at the end. And you'll notice that we've got this little line and a little blue cross here, and that just indicates where our IK link is. And what the IK link does is it constrains this joint here onto this little blue cross. It basically forces this to stay on here, which allows for joints. So as it follows it, this area here bends in the middle, much like an arm would. Like so. Woo. So that's how people animate legs and things. Bam, bam, bam. But again, we're going to use that for our arms. And the next tutorial, I'm going to just have a look at the importing and exporting of the original Half-Life 2 stuff. I'm going to decompile the Glock, and I think that's about it, really. Get it ready for animating.